Dear Mary, I once read this post that was lamenting all the things about the Harry Potter universe that us mere muggles will never get to fully understand or experience. A lot of these things, I was like, yeah, it does suck that I'll never actually be able to know what it feels like to cast a spell or ride a broomstick, and you could argue that we'll never fully know what house we would be in. Even though we have quizzes for a lot of the things, some people might not be fully certain that they're in whatever house Pottermore puts them in. Not me. Slytherin all the way. I will say though, I don't believe that my Patronus would actually be a horse. But some of these things that were on this list bothered me that somebody would say we would never know or understand them. And they are, know what a boggart would turn into for you, know what you would see in the Mirror of Ezra-Dead, and know what Amortentia smelled like. If you don't know what your boggart would turn into, you clearly don't understand what a boggart is. It just turns into your fears. So it would probably turn into your biggest fear, because that's what's forefront in your mind, but they do sometimes manipulate it if they're clear of mind enough when they go up against an opponent, a boggart, to think of a specific fear. Like, for instance, Harry in the third book, he starts to think about Voldemort when he's faced with the boggart, but then he thinks about the Dementor he saw on the train, and so that it turns into the Dementor, not Voldemort. A lot of people have little fears of spiders or heights or needles, but what happens when your fear isn't that physical? What happens when your fear is losing your job or the fear of humiliation? The next thing is the Mirror of Ezra-Dead, and this is a big one to me. If you don't know what you would see in the Mirror of Ezra-Dead, you need to do some serious soul searching. Because this is, it's not a mystery. Mirror of Ezra-Dead shows nothing more or less than the deepest desire of your heart. And every individual should know their own deepest desire. And if you don't, then what's wrong with you? Yeah, and I think it's very important to think about this sort of thing and know this sort of thing, especially if you're at some form of crossroads in your life. Like us, I definitely need to be thinking about this thing. I need to be thinking about, what desires I have for myself and my life. Do I want to focus on making money? Or I don't even know where I want to live after graduation. I don't know if I want a big city, or a small city, or East Coast, West Coast. I don't know. And so this is something I really need to be thinking about right now. And I think it is important, because if you don't know what your deepest desire of your heart is, then you have nothing to strive for, and you're just wandering aimlessly through life, and it's not gonna get you anywhere. The last thing is Amortentia, and this one I can kind of understand why you might think you would never know what Amortentia smells like to you, because it's a little more abstract, and we don't often sit around thinking about, I wonder what most attracts us smells like. That made sense. Yeah. So when I started thinking about this, the first time I started thinking about this, I kind of got confused, and I thought, Amortentia smelled like love, or smelled like what made us happy. But upon further reflection, I think it is about what attracts you, in a sexual or romantic way. I would like to just talk about the Amortentia, and I think to an extent it can be just what makes you happy, because the smell is the sense closest tied to memory. So if you smell something from your childhood, it's going to instantly take you back to your childhood. And so it should be very easy to come up with a memory that made you happy and what that smelled like. For me, it's the smell of baby powder, hairspray, and McDonald's, because that's what backstage smells like to me, and that just makes me feel at home, makes me feel super happy. Yeah. But upon further reflection, yeah, I'm not sure that's what Amortentia would smell like to me. Then again, Hermione's Amortentia does partially smell like parchment, which could be the library, because that's where she feels safe and at home. So at a point, maybe Amortentia does kind of smell like Backstage to me. I also there's definitely some colognes I've smelled that I'm like, that's Amortentia to me, hon. Please upload soon, Mary. I love you. Sincerely, Sophistication.